Market builds on yesterday's gains with overall breadth firmly in favor of advances today. The mid-cap index rises 1% and outperform what large caps did today.
Metal stocks buoyed by global tailwinds. JSPL reacts to Q4 numbers. Vedanta to a potential fundraise, while the street bids up Hindalco on Novelis IPO prospects.
Mankind Pharma mulls acquisition of Bharat Serum and vaccines from private equity player Advent. Sources say Advent is seeking a valuation of $2 billion for its complete exit. That is a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to program where we aim to get you everything you need to know as you gear up for the next trading session. We've had 2 days of calmer markets. Yesterday, of course, was a big swing day. The market swung 200 points from the day's low to end higher. And today, we were able to add 100 points on top of it. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleague Rima. Rima, hi.
Hi, strong follow-on buying, right, for the second day in a row. But let's tell you what we have for you on Markets Forward. All the big news, all the key developments in Dalal Street, the top corporate voices and the events to track ahead. But first, market action. You know, after the kind of fall, the drubbing that we had in the last couple of days, yesterday we got that big intraday recovery. And this is the kind of session you want to see, right? Follow-on buying. Yeah,
follow-on, slow and steady is, so 100 points. I mean, 100 every day. We'll take it. I'm just joking. But, so yesterday was, of course, it was a good day and it was a positive close for the Nifty, for the Bank Nifty, etc. And today there was follow-on, right? 100-point gain. 50 points off the day's high. Okay, that's fine. We got to 22,270. Now, the price action needs to tell us more than anything else that we are, this correction that we saw recently from the highs of that Friday is now kind of behind. I mean, at least the bulk of the fall is behind. It's going to be more sideways, and that's fine. And the way to do it is perhaps to take out some of these closer buy levels, 40-day exponential, which we almost got to today, fell short by 2 points. And then there is a 20-day, which is not very far away, around the corner, 22,335 is that particular level. So maybe that's, those numbers we will see in the coming days. Hopefully, big PSU day, and we'll kind of outline, metals and railways and infrastructure and all kinds of PSU names. And of course, metals as a space did very, very well. There were these individual reasons for specific names to do well, but I think there is also broader tailwind for the entire metal space, really. I think global markets have also been quiet for the next couple of days. The big sort of data point which could move markets is, of course, CPI, but that's tomorrow evening. In any case, I mean, as I said, global markets, very, very quiet. Markets here paying attention to what's happening locally more than what's happening elsewhere. Rima.
Well, markets build on to yesterday's gains. Mid-caps did very well. So the mid-cap index outperformed. So while the frontline indices gained close to about 0.5%, the mid-cap index was up nearly 1%. And look at the advanced decline ratio. Nearly 1,900 stocks advancing for 550 stocks declining. As we pointed out, it's PSUs which did very well. The Nifty PSU index was the best performing sectoral index, but also a lot of heavyweights. So whether it's L&T, Reliance Industries, they too contributed to the way the index moved today. But here's what we have for you on our show today. We start with the top movers and shakers of the day. Hormus is standing by. Metals is the spotlight sector of the day. The stocks that were in focus, other than that, were Cochin Shipyard, Mankind Pharma. We'll get you the key reasons why these stocks were buzzing. And last but not the least, we delve into the key market events to watch out for. But as promised, let's get to Hormus for the big stocks of the day. Hormus.
When you say that the broader markets are outperforming, it's back to business as usual, right? And you highlighted that the sector of the day undoubtedly was the metals index. And the index was up 3%, but all the constituents of the metals index ended higher in today's session. Nalco was up 7.5%. The sale was also having a good day today, almost 5% there. Vedanta on the board meeting ahead of the dividend announcement, and JSPL also had a good day. Jindal Stainless is the stock that had a good day in today's session. That rail PSUs made a comeback today after a prolonged period of lull. It's been a while since we spoke about these companies, and IRFC, IRCON, IRCTC, RailTel, RVNL, all of them seeing gains of anywhere between 4 to 10%. So chugging along today at a green signal for the railway PSUs. But the non-rail PSUs were not too far behind either. And it was the PSE index, all constituents gaining there as well. And HUDCO, NHPC, LIC as well, 5% higher there. Hindustan Aeronautics and GAIL rounding off a good day for the PSUs. A group that did well today was the Adani Group. All group stocks were higher in today's trading session. Adani Enterprises was among the top gainers on the Nifty in today's session. They're 5.5% higher there. And Adani Total Gas, Adani Green, Energy Solutions, Power, all of them seeing gains of anywhere between 3 to 5%. That the FMCG sector was an underperformer in what was otherwise a very strong market in today's session. United Breweries, GCPL, heavyweights like United Spirits, Colgate, Nestle India, all of them ending at the lowest point of the day. So not good going there for the FMCG space, but overall a very good day for the broader markets. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. As promised, let's get to the spotlight sector of the day, and that's metals. The Nifty Metal Index surged close to about 2.5% in trade, and you had names like Jindal Steel and Power, Vedanta, Hindalco, all these stocks gaining between 2 to 4%. We'll get to Nigel in just a bit, but let me also introduce on our show Jay Bala of cashthekiosk.com and Prakash Diwan. Jay, first, quick thoughts on how the day transpired. What does it set us up for the next few days? And any stock that you would recommend or suggest for trade for tomorrow?
Yeah, the Nifty is, despite the recent drop, it's not broken significant supports, what we call critical supports at 21,770, 21,710 that we've been highlighting for the last few weeks. As long as that holds, we can anticipate further higher highs to come through. But it's only as long as it holds, because the markets are pushing back to the previous range, which has been doing for the last 3-4 months, and then it's trying to push back to higher highs. That's a limiting move. So the significant support for Nifty is about 21,770. The similarly significant support for banking index is 46,500. Private banks being weaker than the PSU banks. And when it comes to the price action of today, metals are coming to important resistance about 9,800 on the Nifty Metals Index, and there is further higher highs to come through in railway names. I like Ircon here. Ircon with the stop loss of 213 for 290.
Okay, Jay, I'll ask you whether I thought we didn't get to the April low, which is where you think the support lies, 21,777 or so. But we got to 21,800 something, and then the market bounced. I thought you'll kind of say that, well, we maybe finish something and more stability, but apparently not. But I'll come to that with you in just a bit. But metals is what we want to just first discuss and get out of the way. Individual stocks have tailwind, but the sector also overall did very well. Nigel is standing by with the outline of what was at play. Nigel.
Well, the day belonged to the metal index, and you have the global tailwinds that are playing for it. Inflation data, the global setup is hoping that maybe there will be some cooling down signs in the US market. So that's why that's one factor. And besides that, there has been a demand that's coming back, and supply has been restricted. So that's what's supporting metal prices. Let's run it through individual companies and which were reacting to news. JSPL, they came out with a set of numbers. The standalone EBITDA per ton was better than what we were working with, and that's because volumes were higher as well. So operating leverage will play out, and that's why the absolute EBITDA did look much better. What works for JSPL is the past quarter was good and quarter one could be far better. They've taken price increases, coking coal cost will be lower, they'll be getting the benefit of captive coal, and also they're focusing on value-added products. Put that together, the street likes that. Novama, they've gone ahead and increased their target price, they're giving it a higher multiple, and they're saying that the EBITDA per ton can scale to around 16,500 rupees per ton, and the ROCE can move to around 21%. So put all that together, JSPL reacting to its numbers. Vedanta, on May 16th, they're going to be meeting to consider some equity raise. It could be a rights issue, it could be an FPO, it could be various forms of equity. They're also going to be meeting to declare their first dividend. So the street likes that. They're sensing that something's in the works. So that stock as well was up. And they've also said that their oil reserves, well, that's moved up by closer to 19%, which could help the oil and gas segment going ahead. So that's about Vedanta. Hindustan Zinc, we already know lead, zinc prices have been holding steady and silver prices have moved up. Now they are, potentially trying to tap gold as well. And they've qualified as a bidder for a couple of those blocks that were up for auction in Rajasthan. So that stock as well did recover from the low point of the day. And finally, Hindalco, they're moving in the direction of coming out with that Novelis IPO. So details are awaited, but for the time being, the stock was higher. So metals, yes, it had the tailwind, but these were the individual stocks that were reacting to the individual pieces of news all through today's session. Back to you.
All right, Nigel, thanks very much for that. Prakash, hi, good afternoon. You heard Nigel outline what was up with each of these companies and this broad tailwind as well. If you had to pick one name, what would it be from the space?
It looks like Vedanta, Prashant, though, I always take it with a pinch of salt because there can be a mismatch in what gets delivered from the expectation that are around this name. But it seems to be in the very sweet spot. It's firing on all cylinders, as we discussed the other day. Nigel's also brought up the fact that there's some corporate action that could probably give some wings to it. So right now it seems like this thing, but don't ignore the fact that some of the other ferrous players also, like Steel Authority of India and all, are also kind of smartening up. The arbitrage is quite significant in terms of what other larger players are available and what sale is available at. So that could kind of, that gap could narrow. So I would believe that while it's done well in today's market, going forward, the next few sessions could see a little bit of a accumulation happen there as well.
Okay, the other stock on our radar today is Cochin Shipyard, surging 12% after it bagged a large order from a European client. Upasna standing by with more. Upasna.
Coachn Shipyard saw a stellar up move today after the company bagged large order. The company secured order in the range of 500 to 1,000 crores from a European client for the construction of hybrid service operation vessels with an option for 2 more such vessels. The vessel is designed and built for service, maintenance and operational needs of offshore wind farm industry in the European market, where sustainable energy solutions are high in demand, is what the company has highlighted. The project is expected to be completed by end of 2026.
Prakash, PSUs, I mean, it's across the board, big 10, 15 names with big volumes. What was going on, in your opinion?
So I know there's no very validated data to corroborate this, but the view is that since the time that there is this belief coming back into the market that the BJP is going to be in a very comfortable position, the NDA is going to be back again with the bang. The continuity of policy has benefited so much of the PSU, especially railway, defense. There's no reason to ignore those. And mind you, in spite of that run-up and then the subsequent cool-off, where things stand, the PSU still make a lot of sense from a longer-run perspective if this continuity is assured of sorts. So I think the market is reading into some sort of an assurance that there is continuity, and doesn't seem very unreasonable at all. Which is what PSUs are making. And in fact, you will probably see this rally extend to a much wider basket of PSUs. PSU banks haven't yet participated. You'll probably see that just towards the end of the session, you had GAIL and all also coming back. That could kind of continue. So what you need to look at going forward, and then this is a program where we figure out what to do your homework on in the evening. I would believe the PSUs is where you need to kind of go out fishing. And for the next few sessions, still probably the run-up to the election outcome itself, you'll probably see a significant buying continue with most of the big names and the good names.
Okay, let's also get to the third stock of the day, and this one's a CNBC TV18 exclusive, where we learned from sources that Mankind Pharma is looking to acquire Bharat Serum and vaccines from private equity firm Advent. The stock gained over 3%. Rachna joins in with the exclusive details. Rachna.
That's right. Sources with direct knowledge of the matter have told CNBC TV18 that Mankind Pharma is considering acquisition of Bharat Serum and vaccines from private equity firm Advent International. Now, Advent International owns 100% stake in Bharat Serum and vaccines and is now looking to sell after almost 5 years of acquiring it. It was in 2019 when Advent International first acquired a controlling stake of 74% for about $500 million in the company by giving exits to private equity players like OrbiMed Asia and Kodak Private Equity. It further acquired promoter family stake in 2020 for an undisclosed amount and is now looking to sell for a valuation of about $2 billion. And it's not just Mankind Pharma that is considering this purchase, it is also Swedish private equity EQT Partners. Now, we wrote to Mankind Pharma, but we did not receive a response from them yet.
All right, Rachna, thank you very much for that. We'll probably have the opportunity to talk to the management of Mankind Post numbers tomorrow, so we'll get the opportunity to ask this question as well to them. But let's shift our focus to the general insurance space. We got the life insurance data earlier, and today it was the turn for general insurance. Yash is here with what stood out. ICICI Lombard, Yash, I believe, is sort of good, and there's Star Health, which is sort of posted a bit of a revival for the month, so to speak. Take it away.
It's looking like a good month as far as April is concerned for general insurance companies. Three key headlines coming out of the month of April. The first one is that ICICI Lombard has managed to perform really well, and that too on a strong base that it was working on from April 2023. Star Health Insurance this time around has shown strong performance. It has managed to close the premium gap when it's compared with industry average. And third one, New India Assurance has lagged in its performance in the month of April despite having a favorable base. I'll start with ICICI Lombard. The April premium has grown at 23%. Remember, it was working on a decent base of a growth of about 17%. April 2024, year on year, the market share has grown by about 63 basis points for ICICI Lombard. New India Assurance, as I said, weak performance. The company has grown its premium by about 4% in the month of April. It was working on a favorable base of about 10% growth last year, same month. The market share, importantly for New India Assurance, in the month of April on a year-on-year basis has dropped by 200 basis points. So that's a negative for the company. Go Digit Insurance, the IPO opens tomorrow. I have decided to include that in this particular list. April premium growing at 8%. April market share down by 22 basis points. Now, importantly, Star Health Insurance, the company has performed well in the month of April. It was growing at a strong base of 25% growth last year, same month. Despite that, it's managed to grow at 23%. Now, generally, Star would have a gap of about 10% when it comes to standalone health insurance industry average growth. That has reduced to just about 4% in the month of April 2024. Market share amongst all general insurance companies is up about 21 basis points for Star Health. Amongst standalone health insurance companies, it's down by about 116 basis points.
Thank you, Yash, for that. Jay, in the insurance space, any preferred stock?
I would say, be very cautious here. And New India Insurance, if it were to close below 208, that'll draw a significant correction for investors. And, on February 8th, when we were discussing insurance name, I had pointed out about LIC, how the Prime Minister of India was speaking about one particular stock in the parliament, and that was a contrarian sign if it were to close below 1015. LIC has dropped 20% from there. So, if you see LIC close below 868, once again, that will be very significant close on the negative side. So investors need to watch these levels. But as long as these levels are protected, we can be okay with it. And I was also positive on ICICI Lombard. That's also come to an important resistance. It needs to break out from here. So neutral to negative in the insurance space here. And likewise, I think I've already mentioned New India Insurance. Yeah, so I'm done with the insurance space. Yeah.
Okay. Prakash, earnings are still coming through. I think we're about 60%, 65% done now. Lately, anything standing out to you where market is kind of underappreciating earnings, or, there is some... UPL, for example, was interesting. Was bid up and today slumped. Yeah. What else caught your eye?
So, some of the things that are happening, given the fact that the market was a bit skittish when some of these earnings came through, the market hasn't been able to kind of digest that and reward some of these. So L&T you saw in today's session was a belated, realization of sorts that things probably are not as bad. I think the same could probably continue with some of the auto names, if you ask me. We've not seen that rally, get much more legs. I mean, you saw Hero MotoCorp did well for a day, then, it's kind of slumbered off. But you probably, in tomorrow's session, you would probably see auto come back as part of the rotation, more on the back of earnings than anything else. And remember one thing, Prashant, that larger telecom names, I mean, we don't have any on a standalone basis, but if you look at a Bharti, those markets will react to those numbers. And I just want to leave you with a thought that apart from earnings tomorrow, there's another trigger that we are watching for, and that's the announcement of the MSCI rebalancing list. If that kind of throws up some surprises, you'll probably see market adjust to that in anticipation of the month-end changes that will be, incorporated. But I think the list is going to be announced tomorrow if I have my data correct. So that's where, you could probably see the market shaping up slightly differently. But these earnings, L&T, some of these names like Hero MotoCorp, to that extent, even a TVS and all, there's still not enough reaction that market has accorded to it. And that could probably continue in tomorrow's session.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today on Markets Forward. Need to get into a break. We'll get you the top corporate voices from today, along with the key market events to watch out for.
Welcome back. You're with us here on Markets Forward. Let's take a quick look at what some of the top corporate voices we had on the show through the course of the day. So first up, I want to tell you what Bharat Earth Movers told us. We had the company's management, which said that they're expecting a top-line growth of between 18 and 20% on a CAGR basis, at least in the medium term going forward. They're guiding also for a full 100 basis point improvement in EBITDA margins in FY25. They see margins going up to about 13% or so.
The next in focus is Mahanagar Gas, MGL. The company's MD, Ashu Singhal, says the EBITDA per SCM at 14 rupees in FY24 was the peak. And going ahead, it will range between 10 to 13 rupees. He also hopes the company will clock in a 6 to 7% volume growth per annum in the medium term.
We also have the management of Bank of Baroda with us after they reported numbers. They're guiding for between 12 and 14% growth in loans for FY25. They're also saying that net interest margins should be around the 3.5% level and saying that recoveries for the full year should exceed about 10,000 crore rupees. The management also said that the RBI draft norms on project financing may actually impact them on the credit cost side by between 7 to 8 basis points.
And lastly, CE Infosystems, popularly known as MapMy India, the management told us that the company is aiming for a revenue milestone of 1,000 crore rupees by FY27-28, which means grow at 35 to 40%. The company's open order book stands at 1,300 crore rupees.
All right, well, those are some of the top corporate voices we had and what they said. Before we wrap up on this program, let's get you some of the key events to watch out for as we come back tomorrow. Sonal is here with that list. Sonal, hi.
Hi, Prashant. Good afternoon. Well, we do have a lot of US macro cues that we'll be watching out for. The PPI data on a month-on-month basis, that will be out today. So markets will react to that tomorrow. The big US CPI print will be out tomorrow. So that is something we'll be watching out for. The April retail sales for the US markets. Hong Kong markets will be shut tomorrow, so watch out for that. And the IEA oil market report will also be out tomorrow. For our own markets, we do have some notable results. PFC, Mankind Pharma, Honeywell Automation, to name a few. We also have Jyoti Labs and LIC Housing Finance that will be reporting numbers. We have two listings as well tomorrow, TBO Tech and Aadhar Housing Finance, so watch out for those two. And something related to online gaming companies as well, because Supreme Court, remember, had earlier directed the centre to file response by May 15th on the responses sent by these online gaming companies. So that is something we'll be watching out for.
Okay, and with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. We'll be back with more news and updates.